Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Golf and Politics. I'm thrilled to have Stephen Carney with us tonight. Stephen's a great guest for our show because we're going to really dive into what is it like to pursue playing golf professionally. Stephen's one of the better players I've ever played with. I had the pleasure of being paired up with him at Southern Hills and then playing with him at his home club, the Golf Club of Oklahoma. Stephen is from Tulsa originally. He played at Union High School, then he played at the University of Tulsa, had 62 starts across PGA Tour Canada and PGA Tour Latin America, multiple Oklahoma amateur wins. He actually regained his amateur status after his professional career. We're going to get into some of that because there's some controversy around that in the world of golf today. He's now a CPA and a real estate developer, still carries a 5.7 handicap. And let me tell you guys, he can flat out play. So Stephen, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for taking the time to do the show with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's a thrill to be a part of this.
Great. So I was reading your bio and it said that you didn't start playing golf until you were 12 years old. And that's a little bit later in life, I think, than a lot of the other guys maybe that you played against professionally or in college. It seems like so many kids are starting early and just focusing on golf. What drew you to the game at 12, and how long did it take you to really realize that you had a special talent at this game?
Yeah. So my parents, they started taking me out to the golf course probably when I was about 9 or 10. But I played competitive baseball and football, basketball as well. I quit playing competitive baseball when I was 14.
Okay.
So, I started, playing golf in the summer with some friends out at the country club Meadowbrook, which heard you
Great golf course.
Remember at
Yes.
the time, yeah. Just my parents would just drop me and my brother off out there in the summer. We'd go to the pool, play some golf, make some friends, and it was a lot of fun. So, what really drew me into the game and got me excited was, something I could kind of spend my time focusing in on and trying to get better, but didn't know what to do to get better until I was surrounded by a handful of, 5 or 6 other kids about my age that were a lot better than me. Of those, I would say 4 or 5 of them played college golf, and 1 or 2 of them probably ended up playing a little bit professionally. So we really had some tough little money games, scrapping for $20 or something, and maybe getting in a fight and not paying up afterwards when we're, 12, 13, 14 years old. So
Okay.
that was an interesting experience and kind of got me into it, where I didn't really miss the camaraderie of baseball and football, and got me motivated to try to improve my scores, because the other guys would be like, well, Carney, he can't play with us, he's not good enough, and then just go, with their group of 5. So obviously I would be trying to get motivated to get a little better, and I did. There was probably a year I went from shooting my low score might have been a 79 or 81 when I was like 7th grade.
Okay.
And to 8th grade, I got 3rd place in the conference tournament. I shot a 74.
Okay.
So, pretty big jump there. And then I got 9th place at state when I was a freshman. So I was 15. And that's when I started kind of noticing, I beat all the other guys on my team at Union, and I didn't really have a lot of distractions at the time. I didn't have a driver's license, didn't have a girlfriend. So I spent a lot of time on the golf course, and, that was probably an advantage for me.
Yeah. We had a kid on my high school team. I was actually just telling my son about this the other day. He was 1 year ahead of me. He's a freshman and sophomore. He was one of the best players on the team. And by the time he was a junior and senior, he was still one of the better players on the team, but he got worse as he went older. And our coach used to give him such a hard time. And it's a hard game, and you got to focus on it. And if you got too many distractions, a little bit of lack of focus, you're not going to play well. But so you got better through high school. Talk about the junior golf circuit. I mean, Did you start playing just tons? Like you finished ninth in the state. Oklahoma's a great golf state. I mean, that's a incredible accomplishment at the highest level. Was that where you started really getting after junior tournaments, playing like what all circuits
That's when
did you?
Yeah, I got started playing South Central Junior PGA in the summer, and then the Oklahoma Junior Golf Tour got started, and I had some friends about my age. They got me onto the National Junior Golf Scoreboard website and said, hey, this is where you really need to play nationally ranked events if you want to get noticed by colleges. Because at that time I was thinking, yeah, I want to play golf in college. So, my parents were on board and took me to Oklahoma Junior Golf Tour events, which would be usually Saturday, Sunday, and they were in like the fall and the spring. And the Oklahoma Junior Golf Tour was just getting started, and they were 2-day events, so they would get national ranking points. And that's really, I cut my teeth there and started winning. And then I want to say I was maybe 15 or so. I played my first AJGA, and then saw the kind of the national level, went from the local level to the national level, and started improving, seeing how the courses were set up and how to use a pin sheet and what the other kids were doing, how they're practicing. And then, I started having some success and got invited to invitational tournaments. Played like the Rolex and the FootJoy and the HP Boys, and then qualified for the US Junior. That was at Boone Valley up in near St. Louis.
Now, like when you're showing up to these events, and you don't come from, I mean, so many of these kids are probably being, taught high level lessons from the time they're 6 years old, and have, so much influence on their golf game from professionals. And it sounds like you like learned the game playing with your friends and your brother at Meadowbrook, a little different. Like showing up at these high level events, did that like motivate you to see guys that maybe were better than you, to chase them? How was your mindset as a kid, trying to get better and compete at that high level?
I probably didn't have a lot of, thoughts going on or expectations. So I could just, tee my ball up and play golf and really try my heart out, where I was so focused that, and I didn't have distractions in my life at the time that could, keep me from focusing during that round of golf, whether it's 4 or 5 hours, whatever it is. I didn't have a lot of thoughts going on in my head. I didn't have anybody telling me how to putt, how to chip. I didn't really get any swing lessons until I was maybe 17 years old.
Okay.
Because, I would do that sparingly, got started, and then, I left that coach, and I didn't really go back to a swing coach until I was in my early 20s or so. Is Michael Boyd, who was a Union golfer, TU golfer, much like myself, and then he played on the PGA Tour for 2 years. He's a member out at Golf Club of Oklahoma now, so I'll get to play with him maybe once a year or twice a year. So it's nice having somebody with shared experiences. But yeah, you're right.
Well, it sounds like, it sounds to me like you didn't have this pressure put on you either. Like, I think so many of these kids feel pressure to have to win golf tournaments and have to compete. Sounds like you were just having fun as a teenager playing golf, which is really how it should be.
I had a ton of fun. I had a lot more fun when I would win and come in, and I had a group of friends that played with, and nothing better than just trash talking and having a good time after the round when everybody plays good, right?
Right.
That's when you would be there at the scoreboard going through, oh yeah, on that hole I did a this or that, and it's like those were the days.
All right, so get through high school, continue to get better, you start to get recruited to play in college. Talk to us a little bit about that. Were you putting any feelers out of schools that you were interested in, or was it mostly schools contacting you saying, we'd like you to come play for our team? And how did you end up choosing Tulsa?
Yeah, I started getting letters in the mail probably when I was 15 or 16, before the coaches could directly contact you. Um, and I would see them at tournaments, but they wouldn't come up and talk to you. I guess that was against the rules at the time. And then when I hit that age or that time where I could start getting in contact with coaches, I remember the Baylor coach, the Texas Tech coach, they would text, contact me. OSU coach, Mike McGraw, he wrote me a handwritten note and sent that to me in the mail. So that really stuck out. He was the only guy to spend the time write a handwritten note that was customized to me. A lot of coaches just kind of sent out, templates, emails, just normal snail mail. So, I had in my mind I wanted to go like a big school, a good school. I was a little bit upset. The OU coach at the time, I guess he already had his guys. He wasn't recruiting me, but TU was recruiting me, and Coach Brogdon would come to my events, and then I would always talk with Coach McGraw at OSU, a guy I got a ton of respect for as well. After meeting with him, I took a visit to OSU, and he showed me around, and just saw a man of a ton of integrity, much like Coach Brogdon at TU. He kind of put on a lot of tough love on his players, but it was something we really needed to keep us focused, and easy to get distracted when you're living on your own as a kid. And there was quite a few schools that recruited me, but I ended up choosing TU because my dad went to law school there, and my second place school was OSU. And after the visit there, I was like, man, I really want to go to OSU. I quit looking at anywhere else. But then, there was like 4 or 5 other freshmen coming in with my class. I guess Ricky Fowler, Kevin Tway, they were all already there. Then Morgan Hoffman, Peter Uline. I think Steven Yeager was there. Guy Sean Einhaus, pretty good ranked player, was committed there with a couple more guys. So I was like, maybe I should try a smaller school.
Okay.
TU, they were really good at the time, and my dad grew up taking us to TU basketball games and football games, so I did have that connection there. And as a 17, 18-year-old kid, would have been quite a bit overwhelmed leaving Tulsa and going somewhere new. So kind of wouldn't say settled, but I'm glad I made the decision to go to TU as a excellent school and excellent opportunity and experience.
Was your time at TU, did you cross paths with Sam Humphreys? Was he there at the same time?
I know Sam Humphreys well. Can't remember if we were there at the same time or not, because we weren't on the team together, but I think he might have.
Maybe he's a little bit younger. I'm not sure, but
yeah, he's a little bit younger.
I enjoy his podcast. I think he's got a great radio voice. Clearly, he's doing great in sports talk radio, and enjoy listening to him. But I think that I played college golf Division III. Wasn't recruited, not nearly as good as you, but it was the time of my life. I mean, you think now, like as adults, men, like we love to go on these golf trips. And that's all college golf. You're playing college golf. You got to go on golf trips all the time. You didn't have to pay for it. It was just fantastic. And I'm just blown away by some of these kids that are really good golfers, and maybe they don't get the offer to OSU that they want, and so they just decide they're not going to play college golf. And I think they're really missing out. I played at the Division III level. It was a blast. We got to play wonderful golf courses, and those guys that were on the golf team with me are some of my closest friends to this day. So talk to our listeners a little bit about some of the great experiences you had playing college golf.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, yeah, we got to play some great courses. To name a few, what's that? Pasatiempo, the Alistair McKenzie design out in, it was San Jose's tournament. We played the Morris Williams down in Austin, Texas at the University of Texas Golf Club. We would go to play Sawgrass Country Club down in Ponte Vedra.
Right.
Across from TPC Sawgrass. We would go up to Chicago every year, play a different course. I remember, it was Skokie Country Club, and then there was another one that was pretty sweet. For spring break every year, we would go to Arizona. We wouldn't go off to Mexico or anything on spring break and party, but we would spend time playing a couple tournaments. We played the National Invitational Tournament. That was Arizona's event, and then there would be another event usually hosted by Denver or somebody in the Phoenix area. I'm trying to think. We played the Bridges in San Diego, and traveling with the guys there'd be a lot of fun. So it's all about the experiences and the guys you're with. The coach was always great, treating us well. One thing that stood out to me from junior golf, where I got a kind of a big head, being the best player at my school, I showed up at college and I was humbled really quickly. Guys that, may not have been top recruits or not, beating me or, and it's hard when you're facing tough competition and you're not immediately successful, as a guy who's, competitive and, used to winning quite a bit. It's hard to adjust and cope with that. So that was certainly a challenge that I had. And then, just keeping up with school, and I really was getting distracted, going to parties and girls around and, drinking. So I really underachieved while I was there in college, and don't feel like I brought my 100% A game to all the travel tournaments. So that's something I certainly regret. I had a lot more success winning in the summertime in the amateur events, when the distractions of school and parties and everything was kind of in timeout for the year, right?
Got it.
I could focus on golf.
All right, so you get done, and you just said that you feel like you underachieved, which you would play well in the summertime, but surely it wasn't maybe it was, but what was the decision like to say, I'm going to chase the tour, I'm going to go play professionally? Was that something that you just kind of came across, like, I'm going to give this a try, or was it like a deep-seated dream that you wanted to go chase?
Yeah, that was something that just consumed me. That was really my only path after college was, I'm going to go to business school, but, just something I'm doing because I'm going to play professional golf. And I got the support from my family. My dad was excited for me. He loved, and my mom too, she would take me to tournaments, and they loved to be part of my success. Talking with the other kids and the other parents. So it was an adjustment period going from, something that's fun and enjoyable to something that would be more of a, work, right? So,
Was there anybody, though, in your sphere of influence that tried to talk you out of it or spoke any negativity to you, or is it all pretty much green lights from your support system saying, hey, you should go for this?
Yeah, all green lights. It's funny. I laugh about it now, but my grandma, she didn't intentionally do this, but after reading some mental game books and all, helped me realize what I should focus on when I'm playing golf and put the negativity and doubts behind. But my grandma, she would give me a hug and be like, golf is so hard. Don't you get nervous out there? And it's like, Grandma, hey,
Yeah.
those are things I try not to think about. Of course, I'm not going to admit to her, I get real nervous, but it's like, hey, cut that out.
Yeah, that's
So,
okay.
yeah, everybody in my group, they supported me and wanted to be a part of my success. And, I had everything set up for me to do well and be successful. So I really saw that as my opportunity. So I didn't want to squander my opportunity. And when I was at home, I certainly focused my whole life around being productive and trying to improve, and I improved greatly. Uh, I qualified to get onto the PGA Canada. Um, that's what it was called. Yeah, the PGA Tour Canada. I went to the Q school there and got conditional status. Um, and didn't really know what to expect at all. So that was certainly an experience getting started in professional golf. I guess 2013 was my first year, and I kind of dipped my toes playing a couple uh, web.com qualifiers and a couple of like Adams Tour.
Was web.com what the Corn Ferry is today? Is that what was back in
Yes.
2012?
Yeah, it
That's
was.
what-
Yeah, it was web.com back then. Um, and then 2014 was the year I got status on the PGA Canada, and I loaded up my parents' old Suburban and drove up 3 days to get to the first tournament in Vancouver.
Wow.
Uh, yeah,
That's a
so
drive from Tulsa.
yeah, 3 days, and it was incredible. Never, that's the only time I've ever been to Idaho, and gosh, they didn't even have like speed limit signs on those roads. I still remember that. And gosh, I think I was near Boise and I stopped at like a gas station, and it was like, man, this is the deepest ravine with like a river running along with this great big bridge. And I was like, man, I'm far away from Oklahoma here.
Yeah. So how long the PGA Tour Canada? I mean, that's obviously they can't play more than what, 4 or 5 months of the year. So was the season like May through September, or how did that work?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, May they would start around then, towards the end of May, and then end up, I think mid-September would be the club or the tour championship. Yeah, started in Vancouver, and then we played in Victoria Island, an incredible place there. One of the challenges might just be being prepared to play each week. Like, I remember the didn't really have a lot of practice facilities there in Vancouver due to, overcrowding and just not a lot of space. Then, limited space for the players as well. You got like 156 player events. And then in Victoria, I remember the course we played didn't even have a driving range. Sorry, the driving range, I think you could hit about a 7 iron.
Okay.
Then they had nets you could hit your longer clubs into. No space there, but incredible course and incredible greens. And then the tour kind of made its way to the east. And I remember, yeah, there was guys there that had known each other for years, been playing out there and just super comfortable. And I'm out there like, well, where do I check in? Or, what pro-am on Wednesday? I can't even play the course Wednesday. What? Um, just all the little things like a rookie might miss. But I ended up making a ton of friends and having a great time. And really that tour was more of like a party, than, really a grind of golf. But, you have your few guys that were really focused and ready to roll. And they're, you see them playing on Sundays now. Um,
I mean, because you're going on this journey, right? And it's difficult to make money, right? If you don't make cuts and win tournaments, you're not making money. And even if you win a tournament, it's not the kind of money that's on at the web.com tour at the time, now the Corn Ferry or the PGA Tour. How hard is it to wrap your head around budgeting and figuring out that, did you have sponsors at the time that would help cover your expenses? And then who would you get to caddy for you? Just local guys at the clubs? Would they be your caddies in these tournaments, or how did that work?
Yeah, I pick up well, actually on the tour you could carry your bag, but on the weekends you were required to take a caddy.
Okay.
So I remember, yeah, carrying my bag and picking up a caddy on the weekend. If the course was tough and hilly, I might have taken a caddy the, first couple days and practice round days, but yeah, like, 50, $60 a day adds up pretty quick. You're a
Yeah.
guy with not making a ton of money.
Wow.
I had a credit card and my dad he said, you have my support the first, 2 years,
Okay.
um, something like that. And I was fortunate enough to, make some cuts and where I got money coming in, but it's, coming right back out. Uh, I'm certainly not 100% self-sufficient at the time, but I'm not just like, dumping thousands of dollars each week. Um, you know, I probably had my best tournament on that tour up in Calgary. I finished second, and I remember it was the last hole, and I was feeling pretty good. I was taking dead aim at the pin on the last hole, and I kind of whiffed it. It came up a little short right, and ended up getting up and in for a par, making a putt for par, and I just had no bad thoughts in my mind. Like there was no way I was going to miss that putt. I shot like 23 under that week, and I was tied with Joel Damon and another guy, but Brock McKenzie, he was 27 under and won by like four. Um, I saw him on the grass.
That's right. Let's just stop right there for a second. Like, it's hard to wrap your head around probably shooting 2,300 par and it not being good enough for a weekend. I mean, like, that's just so insanely good. And to know, like, I was still 4 shots off the lead. Like, how does that mess with your psyche a little bit? Or maybe it doesn't, but I feel like it would mess with mine big time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was what I had that week, and just needed to go back and play a little better. I don't know where I could have picked up many strokes. I played great. Um,
See, this is why
it's hard
you're
to,
so much better. Like, your mindset is just, it's still so good. It's like, yeah, I played my best, and you're moving on. Like, I think that's one of my biggest downfalls in golf is I just let my mind do way too much running and beat myself up, and especially when I feel like I did my best and it's not good enough, it's sometimes difficult.
tough, yeah. And yeah, that year I went to the tour championship and didn't really, finish up too great. But I was ready. I had my status for the next year, and in that winter, I went to the PGA Latin America qualifying
Okay.
school and got status. I played pretty well. I think I was like third or something and got exempt status on that tour. And yeah, certainly didn't know what to expect going down to Colombia for my first event and ended up getting sick that week. Yeah, Wednesday night I was
Man.
vomiting and diarrhea all night. Show up at the course the next day, Thursday, and it's like a rain delay. If you know Bogota, it rains there all the time. And I'm just sitting in the clubhouse, like deathly sick, and shoot like a 78 or something, like something terrible. And I'm like, you've done all this preparation, and you're gonna come down here and be that bad. I was very frustrated. But the next day I came back and played a pretty good round, shot a couple under, but ended up missing the cut. And from there, um, got to experience a little bit of the culture and spent some time uh, that weekend, kind of like, hey, what did I do wrong? What can I do to improve? Ended up, going and traveling around and playing other events and getting a feel for the tour and playing a little better and uh, kept my status on. I was top 60 on that tour that year. And then I went to Canada, and I want to say I was top 60 on that tour that year. I was playing both of them that year, which was a ton of travel. I really enjoyed it, and it was got me focused and really to a point where my game was good and I could play just about any type of course pretty well, Bermuda grass, mountain style, bent grass, especially, going from, sea level Mexico on the ocean to mountains of Calgary or whatever.
Sure.
Those are pretty stark differences of golf,
Yeah.
especially the guy growing up on, pretty flat courses here in Oklahoma with wind. Um, I had pretty good game, but wasn't able to get through second stage of Q school that year, or the 3 years when I was playing Q school.
Let's talk about Q school. There's actually a big controversy recently about Q school where the final round, there were guys that had played themselves into qualifying, and then they had a weather delay. Did you see this week? And there's this weather.
My friend Logan was down there in Alabama. Is that where you're?
Yeah, I think I can't remember. I can't remember exactly where it was, but I was watching this interview with a guy on social media, and he is on hole 13, and he had played himself into to making it through Q school. They have the weather delay, and they end up canceling the round because there was no way to get everybody through to finish that final round. And so they just made the decision that round just didn't count. And therefore I think it's $6,000 or something like that to play Q school is like, he's just out and he has to come back next year. And I mean, that's gotta be brutal as well. So talk about the pressure of Q school and what it's like going through.
Yeah. If you get the privilege of playing Q school, it's probably because you didn't perform during the year, right? So you can't just blame it all on the tournament got canceled, and you're still going to get the opportunity this year to Monday in and play events and make money. You always have that opportunity, whether it's such a long shot or not. But gosh, when you're signing up for these tours, the tour makes the rules. You're just a part of it. You can see that with PGA Tour and LIV and all that. It's not necessarily made for the players. It's made for the tour to make money and sponsors to pay. And, it's a business. So you got to prepare yourself for that. Definitely tough to wrap your mind around. You're thinking you're showing up for a 72 hole event, and think like you're a marathon runner or a long distance runner where you're pacing yourself and picking your spots. So that's certainly devastating, and I feel for the guys, knowing what it's like to be so close and miss out. But you gotta think to yourself, hey, I had opportunities, I just missed out. And the guys that are capable, they'll make it one way or the other, whether it's through Q school, whether it's through Monday qualifying, they'll make it happen.
I had another pro tell me that he played in Asia. I think he played PGA Tour Canada as well. He chased it for 6 years, and I asked him, well, what was it that made you give it up finally? He said he'd gone to multiple Monday qualifiers where he was in the afternoon wave, and he was looking at the leaderboard, and there was already 862s on the board. And it's like, if I don't shoot at least 62, I don't have a chance because they're only taking 2 from this qualifier. Yeah, that's how many Monday did you ever try to Monday qualify, and what were those like?
I did several. I didn't, I would try to focus on playing a full schedule of like 4-round events, PGA, Canada, Latin America. I would play some Adams Tour, and the Adams Tour schedule would line up with some of the Monday qualifier spots. So I would go to Springfield, where my grandparents live, for that Monday on the Korn Ferry Tour. And the first year I was on the PGA Canada, I Monday qualified into the first event because I had conditional status. I wasn't even
okay.
I was like the last guy out on the number, but I ended up Monday and in. So that was a interesting experience. Yeah, I mean it's out there for you to earn. You're right. You got to play great golf to get in, and then you got to think, you got to play great golf to win and move up as well.
So, I mean, is it fair to say, like, if you just look at the sheer number of, let's say, Division I college golfers or great amateur players around the country, like the guys that actually make it onto the Korn Ferry and the PGA and make real money playing golf, like it's a really, really small number. But I'm hearing from you, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm hearing from you is like, yeah, it's a really small number, but every single person has the same opportunity to make it. There's no special, I think if you could be a really good running back or quarterback and you just get overlooked by scouts and you don't really have a mechanism to make it to the NFL if somebody doesn't recognize the potential that you have. Where in golf, it's like, if you're good enough and you show up and play these tournaments, like it's pure meritocracy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some money you got to pay to get into them and travel, but yeah, everybody gets an opportunity to showcase their game, and if you get in the tournament, you got the same opportunity that somebody else does to win. What prompted me to get out of the professional golf was, first off, it was several years, like 4.5 years of trying. And at that point, people are asking, what, kind of questioning you. So what are you doing now? Well, I'm a professional golfer, and, felt like I needed to like prove myself, because I wasn't on the PGA Tour or not. And then, I just wanted to be self-sufficient. I had years, I want to say I won, $50,000-$60,000, but ended up losing $5,000 or $10,000 that year because of the travel expenses were so high. So yeah, I hadn't really had success Monday qualifying in. I didn't have status on a tour, or well, I guess I had status on the tour, but I lost status at that year, and I was traveling in 2016. I was playing second stage at Craig Ranch in Dallas area, McKinney, and that last day I was right on the cut line, and it was tough. It was cold and windy, and turns out that day if I shot 1 under, I would have snuck in on the number. Like seven under was the number to go to final stage, and I ended up had a bogey and then ended with like a birdie, and ended up even that day. So I missed going to finals by 1, and I was paired with, I think Taylor Gooch was in front of me. He shot 1 under that day to get to 7 and go through, and then there was another guy, Michael Gellerman, and I want to say one other guy I was playing with. They both shot 1 under, got to 7, went through that day, and I was just like, devastated that I spent the last several years preparing for that moment, and I couldn't get to the number I needed to get to final stage. And then the next year, I played a season on the PGA Latin America, and the last event I was playing was the Argentina Open down in Buenos Aires. Incredible course there, the Jockey Club, and 17's a tough par 3 with this really narrow green, bunker on the left, and then steep fall off on the right. It's an Alistair McKenzie design. Pretty incredible course if you ever get the opportunity to check it out. I made a mistake and hit in that bunker on the left on 17, and then knocked it back over the green. It was, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 paces wide at the front. I was in like a footprint. I think, caddy didn't do a really good job, and I was in a footprint. So, not real happy. Ended up making like a triple and missing the cut by 1 after cruising around pretty good that whole week. That's one of the nicest tournaments that they play on that PGA Latin America. And I was just devastated on the travel back. I had set my mind, this was the year I needed to do it, and I just didn't do it. So I decided to quit professional golf at that point.
Wow.
The ups and downs can be tough, and if you're really not getting those top moments where you're winning, it's the bottom is unbearable.
Wow. All right, before we move on to the transition to amateur golf and your career away from playing professional golf, a couple quick questions. One, who's the best player that we've never heard of that didn't make it? Like, who's the most talented guy that should have made it on tour? You thought this guy has everything it takes, but he just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't make it.
Gosh, that's a tough question. Growing up, junior golf, amateur golf, there were a lot of guys that were just dominating the game. And then you get to professional golf and playing a lot of professional golf. When I got older and started playing professional golf, so there were a lot of guys that didn't really impress me.
Mm-hmm.
that much, but they would score well and have done really well in golf. I know I've played with some guys who obviously you will have heard of, but some guys maybe you haven't heard of or who might be coming up at some point. Uh, can we come back to that one? Let me
Yeah.
think.
Well, let me follow up on that. The guys that maybe you played with him in college or you played with him in Canada, and you're sitting there watching him hit ball saying he's got the game to win a major championship. I'm sure you've come across those guys, but they never actually do it. What's the thing that holds them back from getting to that next level? Yeah.
Man, it's just a mindset. You know, some guys might just have a game that looks really good and they hit the ball great, but they get out in that event and they just don't get the ball in the hole. They don't score, or they go out and they score well, and have some mistakes. You know, the guys who I've seen have some great success. They have the mindset that they're gonna, step on your throat, and they're gonna continue to do it every hole, every shot until they win. And that's just that's the way you move up. And it's a focus every shot. Some guys, they might, rely on their skill and ability, but they might lose focus on a shot or two. And really the difference between moving up and moving, staying where you are, or moving down, quitting the game, it's half a shot a day or less. Very small margins.
I came across this tweet. I want to read it to you. A really good friend of mine named Parker Fleming. He's a college football analytics expert, and he said, I believe Curt Cignetti, the coach of Indiana, who, by the way, he's been there 2 years. They're 24-2. It's crazy. And it's not like he took over Alabama and went 24-2 in his first 2 years, which would be incredible. He took over Indiana, who's never, ever been good at football in my lifetime. He says, I believe Curt Cignetti is teaching us all a lesson about the power of rabid, unwavering commitment to the idea that you will succeed. Curt Cignetti did not say, I will win or I have won. He said, I win. It's a state of mind, a position, not a disposition. And I think that's really enlightening. Like, if you go into golf with the right mindset, how much better you're going to be than somebody with the wrong mindset. And I think that's true in a lot of sports, but I think it's just magnified in golf, where one rotation of the ball could be the difference of winning or losing a tournament. It could be the difference of making the cut or not making the cut.
Yeah, absolutely. And the mindset of being so detail focused on your approach, or approach to every shot, of, hey, I'm gonna aim this wedge one step right of the hole, one step past it, and then have the skill and ability to control yourself to do that, especially in the heat of the moment. It takes a ton of self-control and self-belief, but in addition to practice.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the Indiana wins on Saturday night,
guys.
And Mendoza is being interviewed, and what was he talking about? He's like, we're all process focused. He's like getting all excited, and he's geeking out on how the whole team is process focused. And I'm thinking, this coach Cignetti, I'm a big West Virginia fan, as you know, and Cignetti played at WVU. He went to Morgantown High School. His dad was the coach at WVU. Like, he should be, well, I'm glad we have Rich Rod back, but we had the opportunity to hire Cignetti years ago and we didn't, which is crazy. And I'm just thinking, that's brilliant. Like, the fact that his players they just won the Big Ten championship, and the first thing out of this kid's mouth is, we're process focused. I'm like, that's how you got to be as a good athlete. You have to be committed to that process every single time. And then that when it's the game's on the line, it's no different than what you've rehearsed and practiced over and over again before. So,
yeah, as a coach, you got to be excited because you got your guys that have bought into your ideals, and you're seeing the success.
All right, so you get done playing professional golf. Do you go back to business school here, or did you start a new job right after you hung it up playing professional golf? What was that? What was that like?
Yeah, yeah, I was really lost, but I was able to get some guidance from my parents, and they guided me to an organization that was a good organization, and I got to dip my toe in the what it's like just being a normal person, I guess, uh, and see the hard work it takes to be successful. Where I didn't really have a lot of connections, where I had to get the success just from what I would do, I guess. It was tough, and I felt like a loser. um, After that, I kind of got a feel of, what do the guys that are successful in business do to be successful. So at that point, I went back to business school, and I got a MBA, and then really got a plan together, what I needed to do to kind of get to the point in life where I could be, making some good money, and be happier, I guess, and be able to support a family. Because ultimately, yeah, I wanted to get married. I wanted to start a family, and um, my dad had some great advice for me. He spent 30, 40 years in a professional environment, so I put a lot of stock in what he had to say for me. But yeah, it was a challenge.
And then you also regained your amateur status. And that's a big topic that's kind of this hot button thing in golf right now, because there's so many, it seems like, I don't know, I don't know all the facts, so I'm kind of just, spitballing this here, but there seems to be an absurdly high number of former professional golfers that are competing in the U.S. Mid-Am, because if you win the U.S. Mid-Am, you get to play in the U.S. Open and the Masters. And so you've outlined how difficult it is playing the mini tours and traveling, and you made $60,000 and lost $5,000 because of the travel schedule. So there's guys that are saying, okay, I'm going to transition to some other career. I'm going to work on my game, and then I get my amateur status back. Like, how Twitter is. People want to fight and find controversies, but it's kind of come to the forefront because there's multiple U.S. Mid-Ams now that have won that were former professionals. And then Colt Knost, who won $7 million playing professional golf, has actually just applied to get his amateur status back. And so I'm hearing he may get it back in 2028. I don't have it. I kind of think it's cool. I think if you play professionally for a while, but you're not playing anymore, there's no reason you shouldn't get it back. But what's that process like? How long did it take you to get your amateur status back? And what kind of tournaments are you playing in these days?
Yeah. So after I quit playing professionally, I actually still played a little bit professionally. There was the Fairway Tour, which is a handicapped tour. I got to know the guy Bert who ran it, and that was a way for me to go out, and I would actually make a little money doing that. It was fun, kept my juices flowing. And then yeah, I quit, I want to say at the end of 2017 or so, and then I applied to get my amateur status back in 2022, I think. So there was a bit of time there where I remember I went down to Lincoln Park. Have you ever played there in
Yeah.
Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
And I shot like 61 and won $1,500 or something on the Fairway Tour, and got to take my wife out to dinner after that, or she was my girlfriend at the time, and got the feeling like, oh yeah, I still got it. I'm pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, ultimately,
Hey, if I ever shot 61, even if I didn't win $1,500, I would feel really cool for the rest of my life. I can promise you that.
Yeah. So yeah, Michael Boyd, the 2 year or 2 time, 2 seasons on the PGA Tour, he told me he got his amateur status back and was thinking about doing some tournaments. So after that, I was like, hey, maybe I should do that, and I applied and got my amateur status back. This was, I guess, after I joined out at golf club, and I had won the club championship out there a couple times, and I wasn't really, I was maybe more focused on, finishing up school and getting a CPA license and focused on work at that point. The amateur golf might be something I could be pretty competitive at and have a good time doing it. 2023, I played a couple events. I played I was the club champion out at golf club, and then I played the state amateur championship. It was at Southern Hills, your stomping ground, and I won a couple matches, but I ended up losing in the quarterfinals to a college kid from OU. He played well and beat me. A little bit frustrating. And then next week I played the U.S. Amateur qualifying, and that was when they had, it was one day, 36 holes, walking only. And I wrangled my buddy Brad into coming down and caddying for me, and we did all right. I had like a triple, but I ended up 6 under, and I was tied for third. And they were taking 3 spots, and I was tied with the same young guy who knocked me out the week before at Southern Hills, and didn't do so well in the playoff. I kind of faded it a little bit. It was Rose Creek in Edmond.
Yeah.
I go to I get there first thing in the morning, 7 a.m. and play 36 holes walking, and then I'm in a playoff at like 7:45 p.m. that evening. So a full day of golf, I'll tell you what. And
Yeah.
I thought we were going to go to the first hole for the playoff, and they ended up going, no, we're going to do the playoff over here on 10. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm ready. And I squeaked one into the water on the right, ended up making a bogey and losing right there. So alternate for the USAM, and that would have been my third USAM, and it was at Cherry Hills, which was where I had went for USAM back in when I was younger, and it was funny. The US or the state amateur.
I mean, if you qualify for the US, the qualify for the US amateur is just an outstanding accomplishment. So, like, I don't know that people can wrap their heads around like how big of a deal it is to qualify for US amateur. You're beating a lot of good players to get there. A lot of good players.
Yeah, when I was in college, the first year I went to the USAM, I won the qualifier out at Cedar Ridge there in Tulsa. Taylor Gooch was second, and then Taylor Moore was third. So we had a pretty strong qualifier. Yeah, if I'm like the worst guy coming out of it, but and then yeah, that was a good experience. And then the last year I played the Oklahoma State Amateur. It was at Southern Hills, and I ended up winning. And then my first year coming back as an amateur was there at Southern Hills. So
that's great. And it's automatic qualifier for the USAM by winning the state amateur. Is that right?
Yes, that started in either this year or the year before.
That wasn't the case back then, but it's the case now. Because I know Jenny Roller, she won the Oklahoma Am, and then she qualified. That's what got her into the U.S. Women's Am at Bandon this past year.
Yeah, I think last year this year is when the Oklahoma State Amateur champion gets an exemption into the U.S. Amateur, and that's likewise with the other state amateur championships and a handful of other amateur championships that are pretty high level.
How did you do? Did you qualify for match play ever at the USAM?
I did not. No. The first year I went, I started off with a 69, and I was like top 30. But then the next round, I go out to the Erin Hills, the other course, and shot a high score. It was tough.
Yeah, tough.
U.S. Amateur was the first. I guess I played U.S. Junior Amateur, but U.S. Amateur, it puts you on a course that you're not used to playing with the course conditions, hard and fast, long, and then that Aaron Hills, that was just a big course. Like getting a good proximity to the hole on a approach or on a, even a putt or a chip was certainly a challenge. Um, so
Well, I can talk golf all night long, but I want to move it along here and do cover the politics of this really quickly. Let's just ask a straight up question. I mean, are you a Republican or a Democrat? We didn't talk politics much while we played golf.
yeah, I'm very much a conservative. Um, I honestly would probably fall more towards a um libertarian, actually.
Okay,
Fiscally conservative, and then my views are that the government shouldn't really be involved. Government should have a very narrow scope,
got it.
especially at the federal level. Be very narrow scope, and then empower the states to administer their laws and programs. So, if you're not happy with where you live locally, you could probably go to another neighborhood or another town, another city fairly easily. If you're not happy with your state, you can probably relocate to another state. If you're not happy with your federal government, you're probably not going to go to another
Right.
country. So
That's a good perspective way of looking at it. Traveling around playing golf in college, traveling around playing golf on the mini tours. I mean, you're with a lot of other guys, and there's time where you're not focused on golf. Did you find a lot of golfers would engage in political debates and conversations? I know, like back on my college golf team, we'd have some serious political arguments, and some of those guys are my friends to this day. And when we get together, we still have the same arguments.
oh no, we were just telling fart jokes, talking about girls. At that point in my life, college or even professionally, I wasn't focused on politics at all, really.
Yeah.
It's not till I started working for a living that I started thinking about it more. I guess maybe towards the end of my professional career, when I was 26 or so, 27, I started to fall in the line of being more conservative, just based on the belief and focus I had as a individual. I was a 1099 contractor with the tour I was working on, right? So, nobody else was gonna pay my bills if I didn't show up and perform. It was all dependent on me and what I did. So it's really a survival of the fittest out there, and it's a lot the same in the business world.
Well, let's close this out with Rob and I do what's called a shotgun 9. Get out there and play 9 quick holes. We've just got 9 quick questions. Whatever comes to your mind. These are just fun, and we'll rock through these pretty quickly. So, first question: what's more frustrating to you, golf or politics?
Politics.
Okay. If you could change one law or change one rule in golf, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd have to change one law, and just taxes in general. As a CPA, I've learned a lot about taxes, and gosh, folks just, some folks get more of a benefit from tax than the other folks. So
Yeah.
we'll say changing income taxes.
Okay. Speaking of the CPA, what's more difficult, making a putt to make a cut or passing the CPA exam?
Oh, the CPA exam, because that's a lot easier because you can always just take it again, right?
Well, there you go.
Well, making the putt, you get one shot at it. If you miss that, you miss that cut. But, the CPA exam, it took a lot of time and practice and study and focus to pass. Kind of like golf. Once I had golf taken away or stopped doing that, I needed something to focus my time and effort on. So
Yeah. All right. What's the best golf course in the Tulsa metro area not named Southern Hills?
I mean, I'm pretty partial to Golf Club of Oklahoma.
I am too.
I like.
There's a lot of good ones, but I think Golf Club is pretty special. I've never played it well, which I want to play well because I love Fazio. I love the design. And I think all it's going to take is if I have a good day driving the golf ball, I think I'd play well. But I've never had a good day driving the golf ball while I'm there.
And that was the course when I was growing up, and even as in college, that was the course that gave me the most trouble. It's funny.
Yeah.
I go out there and play it pretty well now, but yeah, I like golf club, and Cedar is kind of special to me too. I like Cedar.
Yeah. There's like I said, I think they're all great. I think that, golf club's a league of its own. All right. Rank your top 5 Oklahoma golf courses. So if somebody is coming to Oklahoma and they want to play the 5 best, what would you say they are?
Well, you got to start at Southern Hills. That's a special course. Oak Tree National, pretty special, pretty challenging. It'll
Mm-hmm.
kick your teeth in all day.
Yeah.
Obviously Cartton
Pete
Creek's
Dye.
incredible too. Yeah, tough. Yeah. Yep. I mean, any Pete Dye is going to be fun, right? Just the challenges going on. So yeah, Karsten 3. I'm partial to Cedar Ridge, number 4, and then you also have Gaillardia up there. It's a fun course to play if you want to, have a good time. I'm leaving somebody out somewhere.
Yeah.
But,
Well, there's a lot. And you left golf club out of that list after you just put it as number 2 in Tulsa before. So that's a tough list. I just think golf in Oklahoma, there's a lot of good courses, and it's a place. If you love golf, you need to come to Oklahoma and play. What is the most clutch shot that you ever hit in golf? Pressure was on and you needed this. What was the best shot you ever hit?
gosh, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that tournament in Calgary on the PGA Canada where I made the par putt on the last hole, that was pretty clutch because if I missed that, my check goes from, 15,000 to maybe 7,000
Wow.
or something like that. It's a steep drop off. I was tied for second. I would have went to, tie for fourth or something.
Yeah, you're making putts for that kind of money. I was freaking out over $50 putt when we were playing at the golf club. So, it's just, again, mindset has to be, you have to have this mindset that's going to go in. I don't always have that. I need to work on it. All right. What's your number one? You've played a lot of great golf courses all over the world, but what's your number one bucket list course? If you just one course you've never played, what would it be?
Yeah. Gosh, that's a tough one. I just heard so many incredible things about Pine Valley and never really seen much of that course. But then this summer I saw the Walker Cup out at Cypress Point. So I think it'd be a tough choice between those two. I think I would have to go with Pine Valley because just haven't really seen much of that. And Seminole down in Florida looks pretty interesting too. But
Yeah.
I just had to tell you about how great Teeth of the Dog.
Teeth of the Dogs. Tell us about Teeth.
That was.
I've heard great things.
Yeah.
Did you play was there a tournament there for PGA Tour Latin America, or did you just go play it?
Yeah, they used to have a tournament there. It was a good time. Best week of the year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, just an incredible experience.
What's the part of your game that you always had to work on the hardest?
Chipping around the greens, and I mean obviously putting is important too, but yeah, the chipping. I'm a little bit taller than average, so I think the taller somebody gets, the harder the chipping gets. Just because your hands are a little bit further from the ground, probably, and just more movement. So that was, I got it to the point where, you're going to hit the ball as good as you hit it, right? And some days you're going to make the putts, some days you're not going to make the putts, but you really got to save where you can scrambling. And if you got little tap ins all day for par or birdie because you chipped so well, that's where I would make up the difference. So I spent a lot of time doing that.
Okay. Last question. We ask this to everybody. If you could pick a dream foursome, but your foursome had to include a politician, a celebrity, and a professional golfer, who is Stephen Carney's dream foursome? These people could be living or dead. Who's your dream foursome?
Gosh, want to do a fun foursome. Can we leave the politician out?
Nah, you gotta fix somebody.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I think it'd be easy to pick Donald Trump, but I'm going to say no because I already heard, he doesn't even mark his ball. He'll just, pick up his ball, and then when he puts it back, it'll be closer to the hole.
Hey, as a loyal Republican, I just know he's won 38 club championships. So that's a lot of club championships.
Yeah. So I want somebody who I can kind of have. I like playing golf against an enemy, right? So somebody I can demonize. So maybe let's go with Obama because I think, I could probably beat him pretty good. And then he's going to be saying his stories, which I'm sure are great. And then for celebrity, gosh, how about Morgan Wallen? He seems like a pretty cool guy.
All right.
And what was the last athlete?
Professional golfer.
Professional golfer. Man, let's get somebody fun. Gosh, tough choice. Somebody good, somebody fun. We'll go with how about we do Corey Connors?
Okay.
Haven't got the chance to play with him, but he was down there on the PGA Latin America, and
he's a good ball striker, man.
He's kind of sneaky funny too.
Okay.
The story about him, I remember, super humble guy, super quiet, focused. But I remember somebody was talking about like Bryson DeChambeau or something, and he goes, Bryson? Oh yeah. Waxed him. Like something like that. I guess he beat him in the US amateur, and Corey was like runner up, I want to say, one year. It got him in the Masters, and this super humble guy, and hearing those words come out, like, oh yeah, waxed him. I guess you don't think very highly of him. I think Bryson might have been like whining or something.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, Stephen, I appreciate taking the time. This was fun. We could talk golf for hours. Look forward to playing again sometime soon. And thank you to everyone that listens. Please go to golfandpolitics.com and subscribe to our email newsletter. Anywhere where you get social media or get your content for podcasts, we're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all those places. Please subscribe. We appreciate everyone that listens. And Stephen, thanks again for taking the time to talk with me tonight.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it. Hey.